Welcome to our show, Health and Wellness, Myths and Facts. The primary difference between health and wellness is that health is a goal and wellness is, well, an active process of achieving that goal. You truly cannot have health without first achieving wellness. 2 years into the COVID-19 pandemic, our lives have become much more sedentary than they were before. We have longer working hours, sedentary lifestyles, poor food choices, and a lot of times the lack of physical activity compounding a variety of lifestyle disorders. People with pre-existing disorders like diabetes and heart diseases have been affected the most in pandemics. Medication adherence must become a priority as we deal with the continuing effects of the pandemic. It can affect both the quality and the length of your life and the overall healthcare cost as well. It is important that individuals continue to take their medications as prescribed by their doctors to keep their conditions under control. For some people, medical adherence itself is a new term to discover altogether. For some, there are many misconceptions about it. We have an expert panel with us to clarify all your doubts regarding medical adherence. Joining us on the broadcast, Dr. S.M. Kannan, Consultant Diabetologist, Arun Hospital, Madurai, and Dr. Rahul Gupta, Interventional Cardiologist, Mittal Hospital and Research Center, Dr. Rahul Gupta's Clinic, Ajmer. Thank you, doctors, very much for being with us. Dr. Kannan, if I can begin by asking you, poor adherence to medication in both long and short-term conditions increases the risk of morbidity, of mortality, and cost of care. What are the challenges that are faced by patients in adhering to prescribed medication?
Okay, I think mostly it's ignorant on the part of the patient. They should be counseled before they leave the hospital. They should be told about why we use those drugs and what are the side effects. These are all have to be explained to the patients before they leave the office. This is the first thing. As a doctor, I will try to keep the number of pills very less by avoiding prescribing unnecessary drugs like multivitamins, minerals, antioxidants. Also, I will look for combination drugs so that I can again reduce the number of pills. And thirdly, I will look for a good quality drug but at affordable cost. This will make the patient continue the drug for life. I will also check to have a system in place for the patients to reach us when they are in need. I think these measures would make them adherent to the drug regimen, ma'am.
Right. Dr. Gupta, many people are unaware about the importance of medication adherence. Could you explain to our viewers what is medication adherence and why is it critical, especially in people who have chronic conditions?
Yeah, as we all know that the treatment of any chronic disease is for lifelong. So patient has to take medicine for a longer period of duration. For that, the adherence is very important. According to ACC and AHA guidelines, they have said that if the patient is 80% adherence to the medicine, then our goal is achieved. So to improve the adherence, what steps should be taken by the physician or the patient or patient relative? The first most important point is that there should be a good relation between the doctor and the patient. They should be very friendly. Second, any side effect or disadvantage of any medicine should be written in the treatment chart. Various important side effects of the medicine should be counseled with the patient, and we have told the patient that you have to come for regular follow-up to make a regular chart for the medicine and a responsibility to be given to one attendant of the patient so that patient come regularly in the follow-up. These are the very important measures to improve the adherence of the treatment.
Right. Dr. Kannan, if I can come back to you, then technology is playing a very important role these days in medical management of chronic illnesses. How can technology then improve medical adherence?
Yes, ma'am. The technology is fast improving in improving the adherence to the drug regimen. In those days, I mean the joint family system, there were people to help each other, and the youngsters would take care of the elders and would make them take the drugs, appropriate drugs at appropriate time. With the nuclear family system, all the benefits of the joint family is lost. So in that case, we need something to help the people to adhere to the drug regimen. That is how the newer technology becomes handy in this aspect. There are many digital technologies are available in the market, and there are these technology system, they connect the patient, relatives, doctors and the pharmacist by sending messages, so that when a patient misses a drug, then it will be notified to their relatives or doctors. That is how this technology is developing. It's fast reaching the society, ma'am. Thank you.
Right. Dr. Gupta, home blood pressure monitoring plays a very important role, especially in the management of hypertension. Can home blood pressure monitoring be a substitute for visits to doctors?
Yes, ma'am. Your first question is very good, and it is very valid in recent scenario, because as we all know that in this COVID pandemic, we cannot have a home visit or clinic visit to the doctors. So patient has to be monitored at his home only. So by measuring the blood pressure in the home, he can or she can send the blood pressure reading to the treating doctors, and he can manage the hypertension. And the second question is that the home blood pressure monitor, yes, we are using in today's scenario very much, and they are very much comparable to the sphygmomanometer blood pressure monitors that we used since long practice. But they are only 95% effective. Around 5% of the patient have some abnormal reading, like when the patient have irregular heart rate, their blood pressure will be not in those monitors. Or when there is a bradycardia or tachycardia, then these home blood pressure monitor are not effective. And they have to check regularly over a period of 2 or 3 years that they are working very well. But yes, they can complement to each other, but they cannot change the mercury manometer, which is still the gold standard for measuring and treatment of the blood pressure.
Dr. Kannan, speaking of these kind of smart approaches that help in providing smart solutions, what's the right method to measure and monitor blood sugar at home?
Yes, ma'am. There is a good system to monitor blood sugar at home itself. Generally, we advise these kind of measures in case of type 1 diabetes, gestational diabetes. Rarely we do it in people with type 2 diabetes who are on insulin. And there are different kind of instruments are available in the market. Generally, we use or advise to use the glucometer, which is freely available. Sometimes we advise them to go for continuous glucose monitoring. It's especially useful in type 1 diabetes or gestational diabetes, where they had to check the blood sugar more often, sometimes even 6 to 7 times a day. So in that case, it is very handy. Moreover, it has a reader which doesn't need any prick to measure the blood sugar. So, as Dr. Gupta told, during the pandemic, it was so helpful that we could manage our patients from a distance from the input they gave from continuous glucose monitoring. That is how we managed them for more than a year in the past, ma'am.
Right. Dr. Gupta, many people with hypertension stop medication when they find that their blood pressure is normal. What are the consequences of this?
Very good question, ma'am. My answer to this question is that please do not stop any antihypertensive medicine without the knowledge of treating doctors. Because sometimes what happens, when we leave the medicine, the blood pressure rises very much in a steep fashion, and some complication may occur like papilledema or sometimes intracranial hemorrhage or myocardial infarction. So always keep in touch with your physician or treating doctors that, sir, can I stop the medicine? If your doctors give permission to stop the medicine, then can you only stop the medicine. Otherwise, take continuous medicine. We can reduce the dose, but ma'am, we cannot stop the medicine once we started the antihypertensive drugs.
Right. Dr. Kannan, some people with diabetes and heart disease also believe that if they forget to take their medicine in the morning, or their morning medicine as it's called, they can combine their morning and afternoon doses and take both at the same time. Does this have a negative effect on sugar levels and cholesterol levels? How does it work?
It's an interesting question, but there is no single answer for this, because the answer depends upon the drug they take and the number of times they take. I can tell you a few examples. For example, a blood thinner which is always used as a single dose once a day, if it is missed, it can be taken in the afternoon along with other drugs. Suppose if I use a drug which is used to bring down the blood pressure or blood sugar, the same rule applies here as well. If it is used once a day, again it can be boldly taken in the afternoon along with other drugs. But if suppose I prescribe a drug, multiple doses spreading across a day, then it is very difficult to decide. And I will decide only after checking the blood sugar or BP in the afternoon. Then only I can decide. This is little complex, ma'am.
Right. So no clear answers to that. But Dr. Rahul Gupta, why is it necessary to know your blood cholesterol and lipid levels? And more importantly, how do these two levels actually impact health and well-being? Some heart patients adopt a healthy lifestyle. As a result, their cholesterol level goes down, but still they have a very high good cholesterol level or HDL level. Does this mean that it is possible for them to stop taking their medicine because their LDL levels have decreased?
Ma'am, this is a very important question in recent scenario. As we all know that the bad cholesterol is one of the most common cause for having a heart disease problems. And the major heart attack occurs when these cholesterol level derange very much. And out of these cholesterol level, we have to measure importantly the LDL, that is bad cholesterol, HDL, that is good cholesterol, and the triglyceride. And various ACC and AHA guidelines have recommended that LDL level should be as low as less than 50 milligram per deciliter. Means we have to reduce the LDL as much as possible, and we have to increase the HDL above 35 milligram per deciliter and keep the triglyceride to less than 150. All these can be possible only with two important steps. One, by taking medicine, and second, with good lifestyle like stop smoking, control sugar, have a good morning walk, control weight, and to avoid taking alcohol and increase the intake of fruits and vegetables. By all these means, we can control our cholesterol level. And if we want to stop cholesterol medicine, then we have to consult with our treating doctor. Doctor, can I stop this medicine? If you have suffered a heart attack or have undergone any angioplasty or CABG, then it is not possible to stop the medicine. Yes, we can reduce the dose, but we can't stop. And if the medicine we are taking because of just for primary prevention, then we can stop the medicine after having good lifestyle. So by achieving a good lifestyle, we can still stop the medicine after controlling our lipid levels.
All right, but irrespective, stopping the medication has to be done under medical advisement. So you have to consult with your doctor before you take any of those decisions. Dr. Kannan, what's the importance of the HbA1c test for people with diabetes, and how often should they get this test done? Do these tests actually help people with diabetes lower their medication doses? What's the protocol?
Yes, HbA1c is the gold standard test we do to assess the control of diabetes. Generally, we order once in 3 months. Rarely, we do it in once in 6 months, those who are in good control. HbA1c gives an idea of the blood sugar in the preceding 3 months. That's the beauty of this test. That's why it's called the gold standard test. And it, as you said, yes, we always follow them with HbA1c, and we titrate the dose of the drug up or down by looking at the HbA1c. And the one word of caution is, we have to rely upon the lab which does the HbA1c. We always promote HPLC technology. That is the best method to do the HbA1c. Any other method it's unreliable. So, in nutshell, HbA1c is a standard test to assess the control of diabetes, and we change our prescription only based on that.
Right. Dr. Gupta, can you suggest some good tips or ideas that would make it easier for patients to help follow or keep to medication adherence?
Yes, definitely we can have. As I already told, that first important part for any treating doctor is to make a good relation with the patient. So the patient should not be afraid of coming to the clinic or have a visit with doctor. Second important point is we have a teamwork with patient family or patient attendant, because it is the ultimate responsibility of the patient attendant or relatives to take care of the patient. Third important point is when we are prescribing the medicine, we should have a good detail of side effect or disadvantage of every medicine that we are prescribing. Because by these important steps, the patient and attendant can recognize the importance of taking drug, so the adherence and the follow-up will always good. And always write limited number of medicine, so that there should be no avoiding the medicine taking. An important point is that there should not be extra burden to the patient or patient attendant, so they can afford the treatment part also. And second important point, we should have a contact to the patient by WhatsApp or by the Facebook, so that they can contact you at any time when there is emergency, because in our cardiac treatment there are always a possibility of some emergency. So have a good contact with your patient and patient relative. By these means we can improve or we can increase the adherence to the treatment part.
All right, important advice there from both doctors. Thank you both very much for joining us on NDTV.